I never imagined that this would take this long.
Spotlight on Maryland reported in December about 2 alleged squatters who took over a $2.3 million house in Bethesda.
Just make this very clear.
Tamika Good, the squatter and self-described pro se litigation coach,
You can't be doing regular people.
Featured the estate in a TikTok video posted on her account just 6 days ago. Good was charged last year with multiple counts of burglary, trespassing, and other crimes associated with her squatter takeover of a multi-million-dollar Bethesda home. She had a scheduled court appearance on Thursday morning. In exclusive footage obtained by Spotlight on Maryland, Good can be seen in a black Porsche Cayenne leaving the property soon before 7 to make it to court. During the trial, Good argued that it was unclear which bank owned the foreclosed house because there was no clear trespassing sign. The assistant state's attorney for Montgomery County replied after hearing Good repeat herself multiple times, saying, "I know who doesn't own the property, and that's Tamika Good," adding, "This isn't some vacant, abandoned, way out of the woods house."
Hi, Miss Tamika Good. Do you believe that squatting is a crime? Why are you in a $2.5 million property, Miss Good?
After 3.5 hours of arguing her case before a judge as her own representative, we attempted to make contact during the trial's lunch break.
Get out my face.
Ma'am, why are you in a $2.5 million property?
Meanwhile, after Montgomery County Police followed Good into the garage to survey her actions, she went back to the courthouse to argue her case for another hour and a half. Judge John C. Moffitt gave remarks before he made the ruling, telling Good she had some demented thoughts to justify squatting. The prosecution replied, "This is frankly nuts." Good was found guilty on all counts of burglary and breaking and entering and immediately sentenced to 90 days in prison.
I think the District Court of Maryland did the right thing today.
Ian Chen, a 19-year-old living with his parents in a neighboring house to the home Good occupied, brought the case before a Maryland commissioner's office because he said he wanted to take back the neighborhood from criminals.
I felt it was my civic duty to do the right thing, to file these charges, and then to ultimately bring her to justice here today.
Another witness in Good's trial, who asked not to be named for safety concerns, says he blames the state for a lack of action in what he says was terror.
There was a law that was trying to get passed to kind of streamline the process, but I think that got shot down. Make a rational, concise decision to change the rules where it differentiates a squatter from a legal tenant.
Until then, Bethesda neighbors say they will patiently wait until the next chapter of this squatter saga sees its day in court.
I was pretty scared. I mean, all of us in our neighborhood were. We have a lot of elderly folks who were afraid to even go to sleep at night because they were worried that someone like Tamika or Tamika herself would break in and be living in their house and refuse to leave.
We will continue to follow this matter and alleged squatting closely. I'm Gary Collins in Silver Spring with Spotlight on Maryland.
The other alleged occupant of that Bethesda home, Corey Pollard, was also due in court today, but we understand he did not appear because he was recently arrested on an outstanding unrelated warrant. If you have a story or a tip for our Spotlight on Maryland team, give them a call at the number on your screen. You can also email them at spotlightonmaryland@sbgtv.com. For months, Spotlight on Maryland has been investigating incidents of alleged squatting across the state and the impact on local neighborhoods.
Tonight, Gary Collins' investigation takes him to a Washington, D.C. suburb where residents are demanding action.
Yeah, we've heard about squatters in the news. Never thought it would be next door to, where we all grew up.
James O., a man who grew up in a multi-million-dollar neighborhood in Bethesda, is one neighbor of nearly an entire block who has contacted Spotlight on Maryland to investigate an alleged squatter takeover of a $2.3 million property on Burning Tree Road. For fear of safety, O asked to only be identified by the first letter of his last name. They contacted us after seeing our ongoing investigation into the squatting epidemic in the state.
All started around 4th of July weekend, and there were the house that we're talking about was up for sale, and we heard there was a new buyer that was interested. Sounded like they were going to close around that period of time, and some new people moved in.
O said the tight-knit community quickly suspected the new neighbors were not the actual new home buyers, but suspected squatters. They made contact with the occupants, who they identified as Tamika Good and Corey Pollard.
We were aware that the sale had not closed, and the new occupants were unlawfully occupying the building.
How did this all start? How did this all happen?
The bank foreclosed on the previous owners because they were in default on their mortgage.
John, another Bethesda neighbor to the suspected squatter house, pointed us to court records on how the property initially became vacant. The man's real name is being withheld by his request for fear of his safety. According to Maryland property records, the property is currently owned by City Mortgage. Court records show a foreclosure for the property was granted in early 2025. Citigroup filed with Montgomery County District Court for good and all the mansion's occupants to vacate, saying it has come to our attention that you have wrongfully and properly and illegally entered and are occupying the premise, adding your actions constitute a breaking and entering home invasion, and you and all occupants are wrongfully trespassing. Yet another property neighbor, court records show, filed several criminal charges against Good and Pollard, including trespassing. On December 8th, Pollard was arrested in the mansion's driveway. As a result of the arrest, Pollard is now facing extradition to Pennsylvania to face multiple luxury vehicle theft charges for allegedly stealing cars from a Lancaster dealership parking lot. Pollard has a lengthy court record, including a federal case involving transporting stolen vehicles from Pennsylvania and Delaware and possessing more than 100 grams of heroin.
Hey, y'all, what's up? It's your favorite pro se litigation coach.
Meanwhile, Good, claiming to be a financial and pro se litigation coach on social media accounts that have also appeared in court records, missed her court date this week for trespassing and burglary charges related to the Bethesda mansion.
Wanted to show you guys something real fast. I always talk about how the devil is in the details and how when you get these documents, you have to go through them with a fine-tooth comb.
This TikTok post from April advertises a rental package for $500 for a limited time, with a screenshot of what appears to be a lease welcoming letter. After speaking to the neighbors, we decided to try to make contact with the people inside the house. After knocking multiple times and hearing a dog bark, but then silence, we left a business card asking for the occupants, including Good, to contact us as soon as possible. Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood, we asked John about how he feels about the alleged squatting incident.
You know, you do everything right. You pay your taxes, you pay your mortgage. At the end of the day, do you think it's unfair that others can move into your community with paying nothing?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not only unfair, it's illegal. It's immoral. You know, they need to be apprehended and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Do you think that the Maryland General Assembly should make matters of closing the loophole and squatting a priority this next session?
Absolutely, and other states and jurisdictions have done it too. I mean, you would not experience this kind of nonsense in many other jurisdictions across the United States.
We will continue to follow this alleged squatting situation closely and bring you updates. I'm Gary Collins in Bethesda for Spotlight on Maryland.
If you have a story tip for our Spotlight on Maryland team, you can call 410-467-4670 or email them at spotlightonmaryland@sbgtv.com.
90 days for taking possession of a $2.5 million property and being fined $500. No, it's not enough.
Spotlight on Maryland continues to relentlessly pursue answers on how squatters or occupants of homes they take over without any right or authority continue to operate relatively unchecked.
Just make this very clear.
Squatter Tamika Good, a self-described pro se litigation coach and now convict of burglary and breaking and entering, who showcased this $2.3 million sprawling Bethesda home, is sparking mixed reaction at the Maryland State House in Annapolis.
You can't be doing regular people.
I think we need to look at...
We found State Delegate Teresa Warman outside the State House on Tuesday. She represents the same Bethesda neighborhood where the multi-million-dollar estate continues to be seized as more than 9 months of ongoing civil and criminal litigation presses on.
I'm sure you have seen the news story of somebody taking over a $2.5 million house in your district, a squatter who was actually convicted this past week. I mean, what do you make of that situation?
Well, I'm glad that the courts have stepped in and that there's going to be some resolution about this. I know that it is an issue that was affecting not just the homeowners, but the community as well.
I was pretty scared. I mean, all of us in our neighborhood were.
Meanwhile, our team spoke to Ian Chen moments after Good,
Get out my face.
the Bethesda squatter, was convicted in Montgomery County Court a week earlier. Chen, a 19-year-old residing with his parents, received no help from public elected officials or law enforcement, instead filing charges with the court commissioner.
Do you feel that it's kind of sad that you as a student had to really take the matters into your own hands to get this adjudicated?
I do. I felt it was my civic duty to do the right thing, to file these charges, and then to ultimately bring her to justice here today.
Back in Annapolis with Chin State elected official.
As a lawmaker, what do you think needs to happen to combat squatting issues, not just in your district, but across the state?
I think we need to look at how it is happening across not just my jurisdiction, but across the whole state, and figure out, how to best address not just people breaking in, but also the underlying issues that people are having when they have that need to actually just seek shelter. So I think it's focusing on both aspects of, the deterrent, but also helping the person why they had to break in the first place.
Do you think that at the end of the day, this is a criminal matter and should be prosecuted?
It's hard for me to say. I'm glad I'm not a judge, so I don't have to make those decisions, and I'm glad that I get to look at the whole picture before we do, what we came here to do and legislate.
Stealing a car, as you know, is grand theft auto. Stealing a house, is that the same thing as grand theft housing?
It should be. It really should be, but it's not at this point because we do not have the tools yet in place legislatively to enable our law enforcement folks to take action. Quick action.
Maryland State Senator Rod Watson, a Democrat representing Prince George's County, has submitted prior anti-squatting bills in previous sessions.
You have been on the forefront of squatter legislation from really the beginning. Has enough been done?
No, enough has not been done. So we thought we were making a good first step trying to reduce the time it takes to execute a wrongful detainer, and that can still take months. What we have to do is get to that gold standard such that if you have somebody squatting in your home and you call the police can verify who you are as the owner on the spot and take immediate action. And we're quite a ways from there at this point.
What are some of the things that you're looking to do this legislative session to address squatting?
So there are two pieces. One bill we heard this morning was to make the creation of false leases and rental agreements a felony. That'll go along with bonds, checks, and some of the other things that are already in law. The other piece is I'm still working on a Maryland blockchain real property registry.
Across the street, over in the House office building, Republican Delegate Mike Griffith of Cecil and Harford counties is cross-filing Democrat Senator Ron Watson's squatter legislation.
Look, you're a Republican in Annapolis. From your perspective, though, issues like squatting, is this a human issue? Is this something that transcends party?
I think it does, because squatters don't discriminate if they move into a Republican's home, a Democrat's home. They don't care about demographics, socioeconomic status. They're going to find a target, and they're going to try to take advantage of a weakness in the system. So the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike in this case.
We'll be following squatter legislation closely and holding your elected leaders to account for prop action this legislative session. I'm Gary Collins in Annapolis with Spotlight on Maryland.
And if you have a story tip for our Spotlight on Maryland team, you can call 410-467-4670 or email them at spotlightonmaryland@spgtv.com.
How many people are inside this property?
I cannot confirm or deny, but definitely more than one.
On Wednesday, nearly a dozen Montgomery County Sheriff's deputies, an army of laborers, and a vacant property security company cleared a $2.3 million Bethesda mansion occupied by squatters since summer.
So we will put everything out then if you're saying nothing will volunteer. Okay. A back door or the deck? I guess that's where they had it back in because it's broke. Like that door is completely broke. The screen door is cut, so I assume that's how they originally got this home.
So we're here at the house. The bank said we're not allowed inside, but what we do see is tons of stuff. Everything from a couch to a piano, even a Pac-Man machine.
Item by item, workers carried out hundreds of pieces of furniture and trash left inside the now vacant house that was occupied by Tamika Good and Corey Pollard for more than 9 months. Hours before, on Tuesday night, just before 9:30, Montgomery County Sheriff's deputies moved in to arrest Good once again after previously being convicted and out on appeal for burglary and trespassing charges. Good arrived at Montgomery County Detention Processing Center just before midnight. Meanwhile, moving trucks came and went throughout the evening. By 4 a.m., the last vehicle left, and neighbors say a juvenile was placed in a car. We spoke to neighbor George Folsom on what's next after a more than 9-month battle that brought the community together.
I think for the neighborhood, as well as other neighborhoods in Montgomery County, the county council needs to do a very stringent review of their codes and laws regarding situations like this in which home invaders squat homes. And it's only fair to taxpayers.
Unfortunately, there are loopholes in the system that people do take advantage of, but loopholes are loopholes. So, I mean, she did follow what she was, the order of events that she needed to follow in order to take residency within that household.
Goods attorney Alex Webster was pressed less than 24 hours about squatting laws before his client's eviction.
Do you think the laws need to change?
I don't think they need to change, but yes, it's definitely an issue that probably needs to be looked at a little bit more.
Madam Speaker.
We took questions to House Speaker Jocelyn Pena-Melnick on some of those possible changes on Tuesday.
A woman, and this is also for the majority leader as well, considering he represents Montgomery County, a woman in Bethesda has remained in a $2.3 million house since July. Her attorney told me yesterday that she has squatter rights. Will your house take up initiative to close the loophole on squatter rights this year?
We have had a number of bills coming before us in the Judiciary Committee this year that are exactly on the question of squatter rights and how you define a squatter. So I don't want to prejudge the outcome of those bills, but there has obviously been a lot of building interest to start regulating that topic.
So we have just 4 minutes, so I'm going to call on 3 people. I will tell you that we are on it. It is a very important issue. You are next.
For 19-year-old neighbor Ian Chin, who filed charges against Good and Pollard after police said that they had squatter rights, the legal battle continues.
What's next for you in your fight against squatting?
Well, the squatting is ending today, but the road of holding each and every individual accountable for their actions is only just beginning. It starts, of course, with Tamika Good and Corey Pollard, and it will end at the state capitol in Annapolis, where I will ask the legislature and Governor Moore to change the laws so this can never happen to another community again.
While the multi-million-dollar home is now secure, we will continue to follow closely Chin's journey and whether lawmakers address squatting. In Bethesda, I'm Gary Collins with Spotlight on Maryland.
Fox 45 News has learned Tamika Good remains in jail tonight. She'll have a bail hearing tomorrow. Now, we did reach out to her attorney for a statement. He tells us, quote, Moronic law has not yet been provided information on the nature of the arrest in regards to these specific charges against her, so they cannot comment at this time without having that information, end quote. If you have a tip for our Spotlight on Maryland team, call them at the number on your screen, 410-467-4670.
I only see in the TV, not in the real life. I'm actually experiencing in my neighborhood.
You can't be doing regular people.
Are we back at it again?
Unfortunately, yes. Less than 2 weeks of being incarcerated, Tamika Good is back in the house.
For months, we've been tracking the alleged squatter takeover of a $2.3 million Bethesda home that's been foreclosed and bank-owned. Occupants Tamika Good and her partner Corey Pollard have been at the center of the alleged occupancy.
Get out my face.
Ma'am, why are you in a $2.5 million property?
After months of delays, Good was convicted on all counts on January 22nd, sentenced to 90 days in prison. Pollard continues to face extradition for multiple vehicle theft-related crimes in Pennsylvania. 11 days later, Good was released on appeal on February 2nd after posting a $5,000 cash bond. Activities at the house started again soon after her release. For days, a woman wearing similar shoes and green pants was seen moving in and out of the alleged Bethesda squatter home. We spoke with Alex Webster about his client.
Look, there's a question. It's really the number one question on everybody's mind. How would your client, Ms. Tamika Good, get inside a $2.3 million property?
Cut. I don't know if I can answer that. Allegedly. Can I cut?
We're
rolling.
We're rolling, my friend. Yeah.
All right, can you re-ask the question?
Sure, absolutely. So the number one question on everybody's mind is how your client, Ms. Tamika Good, got into a $2.3 million property.
Well, Ms. Good did her research. She found out that a certain property was under the control of a certain group, and that there was a title issue. Due to the title issue, she was able to assume the property under squatters' rights.
So in Maryland, there isn't a particular squatter right. Am I missing something?
Well, it's not a particular squatter's right, but it's known as squatter rights.
Meanwhile, back at the Bethesda property,
the neighbors here of the $2.3 million Bethesda squatter home have placed no trespassing signs after the alleged squatter, Tamika Good, has gained access to the house. We're going to try to make contact once again.
Trekking through ice and snow, we came upon the same door that security cameras captured occupants entering and leaving. Now the door has a no trespassing sign inside its window. After knocking on the door and falling, we proceeded to the front door to knock as well. Not an answer from the alleged squatters.
So everybody who lives here works so hard for their life. They earn their living.
Mee lives nearby the alleged squatter house. She asked us to hide her identity over safety concerns.
She was sentenced to 90 days in prison, and she was just released, and she's back in the house. What do you make of that?
I think that there is some lack of a law.
We asked Ian Chen, age 19, how the almost year-long battle started. He filed charges that led to Good's 90-day sentencing.
When you first called the police living next to a squatter, what did they do?
Nothing, really. They just knocked on the door, and when there was no answer, they just got back in their cars and left.
We pressed Montgomery County Police on why Good and other squatters remain. The spokesperson replied saying the squatters have been in the house for more than 30 days, so they have gained residency status.
Why does this matter to you?
Because it's the right thing to do. I mean, my parents always taught me that you should work hard, pay your bills, and try to make a good life for yourself.
Why should this be a crime?
Because it's wrong. Because a family who's looking to buy this house is without a home because they didn't earn this house. They didn't work for it. They just came and they took what wasn't theirs.
We will continue to track closely and demand answers about squatting loopholes affecting communities throughout the state. I'm Gary Collins in Bethesda with Spotlight on Maryland.
Back in Bethesda, almost a week later, we're at the $2.3 million home that was taken over by squatters for almost 9 months. The house is now fully secure with metal panels on every door and window. Neighbors now want action, and they're demanding it immediately.
For 9 months, neighbor Ian Chen watched the vacant, bank-owned property next door become occupied, sparking police calls, court filings, and ultimately criminal charges. Now, at just 19 years old, he's taking his fight to state lawmakers in Annapolis.
Let's just face it, you're 19 years old. I mean, you're going to the seat of power in your state. Do you feel that you should have to do this? Or should lawmakers, you feel, be more proactive?
I feel like they should be a lot more proactive. I'm honestly shocked that this hasn't been fixed 10 or 20 years ago, and that this problem has been going on, especially recently, in every community across the state, whether it's in rural counties in our Western Panhandle or suburban neighborhoods of Washington and Baltimore.
No, man. Get off my property.
Chen, a college student at William & Mary, is right.
She's advertising squatter homes.
For almost a year, Spotlight on Maryland has been investigating homes throughout the state.
What can I throw you, guy?
Allegedly taken over by squatters.
She'll move you into somebody's property that's not yours.
Chen brought charges against Tamika Good and Corey Pollard last July after the home next door was suddenly occupied by multiple people without any evidence of a sale occurring and signs of breaking and entering.
And we're finally here in Annapolis. The moments came for you to testify and meet with lawmakers about illegal squatting. I mean, are you nervous?
A little bit, but I'm also hopeful that these lawmakers will see what's been going on and learn and take action because of it.
After climbing the steps of the Maryland State House, going through security, and obtaining a visitor badge for the day, Chen spent a few moments in the House of Delegates gallery observing the legislative process. Then he was off to his first meeting with the only state legislator who responded to him, Delegate Teresa Warman. We pressed Warman weeks earlier on squatting in Chin's district.
Do you think that at the end of the day, this is a criminal matter and should be prosecuted?
It's hard for me to say. I'm glad I'm not a judge, so I don't have to make those decisions, and I'm glad that I get to look at the whole picture before we do, what we came here to do and legislate.
Oh, no, we're this way.
Our cameras were not allowed in Chin's meeting with Delegate Warman.
I'll just take a seat. She'll be in just a second.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But we did speak to him immediately after.
Delegate Warman and I had a great conversation. We both agree that you can have compassion for people with housing issues while also enforcing the law. So she committed yes.
You're next, sir.
The biggest moment came before the House Judiciary Committee, where Chin testified in support of legislation that would make falsifying documents to justify squatting a felony.
Good afternoon. My name is Ian Chen. I'm a 19-year-old government student at the College of William & Mary and a lifelong Maryland resident. I never imagined that I'd be speaking before you to ask this committee to protect our families in Maryland and our communities.
Chen explained how he got involved in fighting squatting in his own neighborhood.
It was only after I took matters into my own hands and brought a multi-count trespassing and burglary case before Maryland District Court Commissioner's Office that she was finally charged and eventually convicted. But that process took time, effort, and energy that nobody should have to expend.
And it seems to me that this is really serious because of a lot of people, their biggest asset is their home. And I guess I'm like, wow. It really boggles the mind.
I had permission this entire time to post these signs, to file charges, to do anything and everything to secure this home in a lawful and appropriate way so that the actual and legitimate buyers come in and take possession of the home that they paid for.
After a day of conversation and testimony, Chen stepped back outside, no longer just a neighbor, but now part of a growing legislative debate.
So what's next? Well, this is only really just the beginning. Hopefully this bill can move forward and we can finally have some accountability for the squatters and the lease sellers who are contributing to this problem in our state.
From filing charges in his own neighborhood to testifying before state lawmakers, Ian Chen says he's done his part. Now the decision rests with the General Assembly. Our team will continue to press for accountability. In Annapolis, I'm Gary Collins with Spotlight on Maryland.
If you have a tip for our Spotlight on Maryland team, contact the number on your screen. You can also email any tips to spotlightonmaryland@sbgtv.com.